If you have to shop for a judge to get an arrest warrant of a journalist, are you enforcing the law or are you hunting a target? Today, we look at the arrest of Don Lemon, not as a media story, but as a procedural puzzle. There's no question that it's lawfare. The question also isn't just a matter of did he do it or not. It's how did they arrest him when two judges said no? It's funny enough, a couple of weeks ago, I was listening on Smirkanish's program. It was a guest host, I believe, that said a judge denied to sign the indictment and or complaint/petition to arrest Don Lemon in the, I believe, District Court of Minnesota. Fast forward to the appeals that also denied to issue the arrest warrant for Lemon. I guess if the Trump administration and Department of Justice don't succeed, they try again. Well, they succeeded because they tried and tried again. It bothers me. It bothers me. I was never a fan of Lemon. He was always the 10 o'clock CNN guy that I always knew was the liberal, wasn't too shameful about it. And I respected his work. I knew he was a member of the left. No problem with that. I never saw him as a member of the extreme left. I saw him as a member of the reflexive left. That I did. Going back to the issue at hand, the spark and the fire. The spark versus the fire. The spark being the Renee Good killing in Minnesota a couple weeks back, the first of two citizens killed there. We have to look at the death that brought him there. We have to look at a protest driven by outrage and where the law looks at objective reasonableness, either on the part of citizens exercising their constitutional rights or officers upholding law and order. Activist protest, ICE-affiliated pastor regarding the death of Renee Good. Don Lemon is present, filming and interviewing. I'll leave you to do some more investigation on how that headline should be unpacked. That's not the focus of right here and right now. The arrest happened late January 29th or 30th after two courts denied Lemon's petition to be arrested. The charges? Read them to you. Conspiracy against rights encoded in the U.S. Code 18, Section 241, and the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act. Basically, legalese for people wanting to exercise their First Amendment right to practice religion. Now, here's the anomaly. The DOJ applied for a criminal complaint and warrant. A magistrate judge rejected it. That got appealed to the chief district judge. He also rejected it. The bypass was when DOJ went to a grand jury where the defense is not present to get the indictment, effectively overriding the judge's decisions. That's not standard prosecution. That is called shopping if I've ever seen it. For a venue, judge, and just general agreement with the way you want to run your government and the rule of law. That is not your standard prosecution. That is shopping if I've ever seen it. The way prosecutors, judges, and our government acted, in my opinion, that's not the America I love. The America I love believes in dissent, a thriving marketplace of ideas, and not shopping around to suppress journalists and speech we simply disagree with. Trump is seeking to take advantage or take revenge on the system of lawfare, which I agree was used against him, against others, against those who were seeking to suppress his speech or perhaps the right wing's speech. So on that level, I understand where he's coming from. I don't agree with it. He had two options. He could have either been more mature about it and say, hey, you guys did this to me and watch what I am not going to do to you. Honestly, I don't think the charges will stand. I think criminally speaking, Lemon will be fine. Two judges refused to sign it. They have to go to a grand jury. It'll probably get thrown out in court. But Trump is exacting punishment on Lemon. Think of what Lemon did and insert it with your conservative columnist. Would the Department of Justice have pursued an indictment like they have after two different appeals? I watched 3 videos on this, and I'll link to all of them below. Chris Cillizza, Chris Cuomo, and Pivot by Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway. I'll go into what each of them think below. First, I want to tell you what I thought about Chris Cillizza's reaction to this. It's not about the conviction. It's about the ride. Cillizza argued that the administration and their goal isn't necessarily the conviction. Like I was alluding to before, it's just to put Don Lemon through basically hell, and he's not going to face prison for this, but he's going to face legal fees, a mugshot. How's the press going to treat that? And the pattern is on really Hannah Nathanson, who is not a cheap lawyer when you look at her litigation history, and the same way he weaponized the justice system against Comey, Tish James, it's weaponization by process. It's what America and Americans are so accustomed to, being subject to the penalty of litigation. Someone will sue you, or the Department of Justice will come after you, simply to harm you, either financially or in terms of reputational currency. That's what Trump is doing here. Different take. Chris Cuomo. The government just made lemonade, and I say that with a little bit of a wink. Cuomo pointed out that the strategic failure of the Trump administration was they turned him into a martyr. Cuomo, sort of contrary to Saliza, said that that Lemon is actually going to profit off of this. Think of it, the same way Trump was martyred for simply being Trump and the victim of lawfare, which he was. Lemon will reap the same benefits of. Trump didn't have to, nor, in my opinion, did he even want to run for another term as president. And because of the lawfare used against him, he won. I don't think he would have absent that lawfare. Last but not least is the Pivot podcast by Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway. They went on for 18 minutes in a irregularly scheduled episode of their Pivot podcast covering this and the gravity of the circumstance. Galloway says that this is the first step towards mass repression. If people disagree with the government and the government handles dissent this way, will people like me voicing dissent on the airwaves and on the internet be as open to voice their opinion and what they think? Will you, watching this video, hopefully a nuanced and independent mind, continue to make sure that the bots that be, or Big Brother, see you engaging in nuanced content? They have your number, they'll know your ideology and who you consume. Criminalizing journalism converts politics into policing. The economic angle that Galloway is frequently espousing, this creates a chilling effect on the creator economy. Case in point, right? If Voices, who I like to be independent, they don't have corporate or legal teams, I don't. If I fear being arrested for covering something that I don't agree with or like, I mean, what does that do to the marketplace of ideas? Going back to the Smerconish or Danny Savalos analysis on this, check this out. On the first try to the magistrate judge to get Don Lemon arrested, the question became, did Don Lemon physically obstruct, use force? The question becomes, did Don Lemon physically obstruct or use force in defiance of the FACE Act? It requires specific intent to injure, intimidate, or interfere. Merely being present and chanting or filming those chanting is constitutionally protected. The conspiracy charge is the DOJ's way of saying you planned to go there and therefore you planned the disruption. You see how cheap this is, both in substance and morale? At the end of the day, we have no lines here between what a journalist is, a creator, an activist. If we define journalism only as people with press passes from the legacy media, what does that do to the creator economy and where, frankly, ideas matter more than legacy media? That is right here on these digital platforms. You don't have to like Don Lemon to worry about a system that shops a grand jury to get an arrest warrant out and issued. You have to worry about free thinking and free expression. A comment you leave at a video, a text that you send that you're afraid Big Brother will see, or a comment you make to another person while they're shooting a video and inadvertently recording you. You thinking about going to certain places, certain venues, you making applause for certain ideas. These are not American ideas and thinking and way of life that we're used to. Is this the America of the free West? I don't demand you like The Messenger. I do demand you watch the process, because a system that could just bypass judges who just simply didn't agree with them or didn't give them what they want to arrest a celebrity, journalist, and or creator is a system that can bypass rights to arrest